The boy encountered something strange just before boarding. All other flights had been cancelled, but the flight he was on was still departing as scheduled. Then, the staff mentioned something even stranger. The flight was scheduled to depart at 9:25, and the boy's birthday is on September 25th. The boy paused for a moment after hearing this and felt that the coincidence was a bit eerie. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Looking at the old plane and the heavy rain outside, he suddenly had a bad feeling. At that moment, the airport began to play a song. The boy clearly remembered that the creators of this song, without exception, had all died in plane crashes. His sense of unease intensified, and the boy started to think about going home. But then, his classmate behind him pushed him into the boarding tunnel. The boy looked out the window and saw that the weather outside had become even worse. At that moment, the sound of a baby crying echoed through the cabin, and his classmate comforted him. This trip would definitely be safe because God protects innocent children. Soon, the boy reached his seat, and with every passing second, his anxiety grew. Two girls suddenly came over and asked to switch seats with him. Reluctantly, the boy agreed, but the small table in the new seat was broken.